Welcome to Crochet Social. I'm here to help those that are stuck with crochet. So if you have something that you need help with, please leave a comment and I'll add it to my video list and I'll get to it as soon as I can. So this is my first proper video, and what I want to do is I want to start at the very beginning with the most popular stitch in crochet that is used across a lot of projects, and that is the double crochet or the treble crochet, depending on if you use American terminology or English terminology. So the stitch is exactly the same. This is it here. This is 4 rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of double crochet. It is, and treble. It is exactly the same stitch, done in exactly the same way. The difference is the name of it is either American or UK terminology. And I work with the US terminology. It just stuck in my head better. It's just the way it worked for me. There's no right or wrong version. They all make exactly the same thing. They've just got different names. So let's start at the beginning. So for my samples and teaching, I like to use a chunky yarn. This one is from Hobbycraft. As you can see, I've used it a lot. And it's all a bit curly because it's just been in a project. But this is what I like to start with to teach. Because you can see, as you can see here, you can see your stitches and it's quite chunky. You can see where you need to go. You can count easily, see what you've got. Most people use what's known as double knitting or DK yarn. And as you can see, this is a lot thinner than my chunky. Just not by much, but just, you know, if you've got DK and you want to use it, please just go ahead and use it. But if you haven't got any yarn and you're looking at yarn to get that's good for a beginner, this chunky yarn from Hobbycraft in the UK is good. A worsted weight, if you're in America, is also very good to learn with. I am using a 6mm hook. This one is from Clover. I love these, but there is nothing wrong with using a metal hook or a hook that isn't Clover. So it's all about preferences and what you like to work with. I prefer the Clover. I started off with the cheap metal hooks, and as I grew to love the hobby, I switched to Clover. So to start off, every crochet project starts off with a slip knot. Now it's completely up to you. If you know how to do a slip knot, please go ahead and do your slip knot. If you're not too sure and you want help, this is how I do my slip knot. There's 101 different ways to make one. So you do what makes it easiest for you. I like to have my the end of my yarn coming over the palm of my hand. I bring it down and then I cross it over. So I have the start here, it comes round my hand and it makes a cross. Because what we're going to do is going to take your hook and you're going to have your hook facing down. You're going to go under that bottom one, grab the top one and bring it through. And then you're going to take your hand out and you're going to have this lovely, what looks like a mess. It isn't a mess. You've got your end of your yarn here, that's called your tail. And you've got your yarn here, that's called your working yarn, that's attached to your yarn ball. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull to make that knot. Now this is where it becomes a slip knot, because you're going to drop your tail, the end of your yarn, and you're going to pull your working yarn onto the hook at this part here. So this is your hook. This is your hook part. This is your shaft part. This bit is the size of your hook. So I'm working with a 6mm hook with this chunky yarn. I like the way it feels, the fact that you can see stitches and it's not too tight. So this is what I like to use. Now this part here, between here and here, that is the size of your hook. That is the 6mm. From here to here, you can see it's narrower, it's tapered, and you've got a bit of a point with the hook. That is to get into a stitch. Depending on the stitch you're doing, you could be doing 1 stitch into a hole, or you could be doing 7. So you need to have something that can push through all that work. Okay, now my hook, it's very loose. well, I wouldn't say very loose. I can spin it, I can move it up and down. This is what you want. You don't want to be too tight to your hook. Crochet is very loose and very forgiving. If you've ever knitted or you've seen knitting, it's very close together and it's quite tight. That is not crochet. So when we are crocheting, we're using one hook and we are twisting it constantly through all the different various loops and combinations that we make. So the first thing that you'll ever read is a yarn over. And what is a yarn over? A yarn over is where the yarn, as you can see, is actually behind, comes over the hook. But let's talk about how I hold my yarn first. So I hold this slip knot quite close to the hook with my middle finger and my thumb. And as you can see, the yarn is already going over my index finger and it's coming back down into my palm, and I'm creating a tunnel with these two fingers. Tail is just hanging there because it's got nowhere else to go. So this is my working yarn and it's coming through these fingers. Now these fingers kind of hold on to it, but don't. It's like a little tunnel that kind of controls the tension, the amount of yarn that I allow through. Now crochet stitches use a lot of yarn in them, so you need to make sure that you are not holding on to it too tight. As I progressed doing crochet, I ended up with my yarn, let me get this tail out of the way completely, with my yarn going around this finger here, my ring finger, and coming back and looping around my baby finger. I found that holding these two fingers together for long periods of crochet was less painful than curling over. Now, if you're starting, curl them over, you're fine. You're not going to be crocheting for long enough for it to hurt or to become sore. But I like to crochet like this. If you see this, this is how I achieve this kind of wiggling through my fingers effect to hold my yarn at a really nice tension. I'm not squeezing my whole hand together, I'm just placing it together. So now I've got that bit sorted. I've got my yarn being held up by my finger. So this is where this is where you're going to be hooking your yarn with your crochet hook. So for a yarn over, we've got our loop on our hook, which is nothing. That becomes something. Right now it doesn't count. You've got your hook. Can you see how I'm holding it down by the widest point here or the flattest point? On a metal hook, you will see there's a flat point. That's usually where you hold it. You don't need to hold it all the way up here. If you hold it down here, you'll have a much better chance of getting somewhere. So, yarn over. We're going to hold the hook so the hook is facing up. We're going to bring the yarn over and the hook under the yarn. Then you're going to twist. And it's that twisting action that will bring all of this through this loop, because it's going to marry with the shape of your loop on your hook, and you're going to pull it through. And then you're going to stab the ceiling to bring it all the way down. And that is one chain. So we start off every crochet project with a chain. The chain can depend on what type of project you're doing. If you're doing a granny square, for example, you probably chain 4, join them together and work into that circle you've just made. Or if you're working in rows, which is what we're going to do today, so we're going to replicate this. If you're working in rows, you'd make your chain of well, this one's 15, so you make a big chain and then you crochet into the chain. Okay, so 15 of these for this little sample. So that's 1. I'm going to yarn over again. I'm going to push my hook into the yarn. I'm going to twist to grab it, and then I'm going to straighten it and I'm going to pull it through for the second chain. So I'll show you again. I've brought my yarn all the way down to the rubber part of my hook, or if you're using a metal one, it would be where you're holding it with your fingers just there. So you're going to have your hook facing up. You're going to push it into your yarn. You're going to bring your yarn over your hook. You're going to twist your hook so it grabs it. That hook part is doing all the work. And then you're going to pull it through the loop on your hook, and you do it again. Yarn over, twist your hook down, pull through, push it down the hook, and yarn over, twist your hook down to bring it through, and there's another one. So I've now done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've done 5 chains, and I hadn't moved my finger from that knot. I'm getting too far away from it now, so I need to move my finger back up to just where the hook is. I'm going to yarn out. I've already yarned over, my hook's already grabbed it, facing it down, pull it through. Bring that loop all the way down so you know you're getting the right size. Yarn over, pull it through that loop on your hook for another chain. So that's 5, 6, 7. This one's 8, 9, 10. Can you see how slowly my hook is? I'm moving my hook very slowly for you so you can see how much I'm twisting it. So at the moment it's facing up. I've grabbed my yarn. I'm spinning it down while still holding onto that yarn there, and I pull it through the loop on the hook. What number are we up to now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and this last one I'm going to do really slowly for you. 15. So that is our chain for this row. Now I want 15 stitches to go across, so I need to have some height, and see this part here, this is a chain that gets you the height. Now depending on your project, you either use the chain as a stitch or you don't. For this one I'm not using it as a stitch, so I've chained 2. Some patterns call for chain 3. I prefer a chain 2 for myself. Crochet is very forgiving in that regard. Like you can say to yourself, well, I'm quite loose, so I'm not going to chain 3, I'll chain 2, or I chain quite tight, so I'll stick to the chain 3. So I've chained 2, and I know in the third chain from the hook, I need to put in a stitch. So let's show you what you've got. You have the loop on your hook. Remember, this doesn't become anything until you pull something through it. Then you've got chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. So this is the one that we're going to work into. And you can see this because, let me take that out for a minute so it's out of the way. You have a V there. The one next to the loop that you're working on is always a little squiffy. It's always a little tighter somewhere, or it's just the nature of it. So there's 1, there's 2, and this one here is 3. That one there is 4, and that one there is 5. So I want the third one. So 1, 2, 3. I want to go in here. Now the anatomy of a chain is that it's all linked together. So I have my V here. This yarn here comes out of the chain at the top to make this side of the V, and this one becomes the top side of the V. Because when you're working, you're looking at it like this. So I know I need to go in here. Now, if I go into the very top of that chain, so I've just got 1 yarn on my hook, then my chains can stretch quite quickly. And then my next chain will be too tight for me to see, and I could skip it. So what I like to do is make sure that I have that middle part of the chain that comes out on top of my hook, and I have that top part there on my hook. And sometimes you'll see that you have another V on top of your hook just there, and that's where we're going to work. So let me put my hook back in, sort out my tension. There we go, 1, 2, 3, I'm working in there. So to do a double crochet stitch, this is the first stitch you're going to do that's double crochet. We're going to yarn over again like we did. Now my index finger is going to hold that yarn over because it needs to stay there, and we're not going through it just yet. So we're going to hold it right there, and we're going to insert into that chain that we know we need to work into. And then you're going to grab your yarn again. I didn't have to yarn over as such because my yarn is kind of running parallel to where the hook is going in. So I just lift the hook up to grab it and then to bring it through that chain. And now I'm going to describe to you what you have on your hook, because if you understand how a stitch works, then you know what you're looking at when you're doing it by yourself. So let's go through this. We have this hook that is closest to the where you're holding your yarn, and this loop is the finishing loop to make your stitch. It's nothing until we finish. This one here is your first yarn over, and this one gives you the height for your stitch. This one gives you the bulk inside the stitch, if you like. This one here, the one that you pull through your chain, this one anchors it to your chain so that you can move along to the next stitch. This is what gives you all of these stitches in a row. So this one anchors it to the stitch. So when you've got 3 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull it through 2 loops, those first 2 loops that were on your hook, 1 and 2, and you end up with 2 loops left on your hook. You're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull through 2 more loops. You're going to repeat. So when I finish a stitch and I know I'm repeating the stitch, I go straight into yarning over. Let's get ready so that when we know where we're going, we can just go straight into the next chain. So let's show you what we've got. You've got your turning chain down here. It looks like a bit of a bump. And you've got your the loop on your hook. You've got a yarn over, and this is the stitch that you have just done. And this is the hole that you just came out of. You do not want to go back in that hole. We're only doing 1 stitch in a chain each, all the way along. So we started off with 15 chains before I did my turning chain, so I need 15 stitches when I come back. So we know that we don't need to go in there. We're going into this next one, and as you can see, you can let's just take off that yarn over, take that out for a second. Right, so I can show you. So you can see there is like a bit of a gap there. You can see there's a little hole in there. Now I know that if I just take that top one, my chains are going to stretch. So that's not exactly where I want to go. I want to get under this one here and under that one there and have my V just there. So that is where I'm aiming for. Let me put my hook back in and get my tension back. So I've got my yarn over, I'm ready to go. I'm going to follow down my stitch I've just done. I'm not working in that hole, I'm working in the next. But I kind of want to go under that yarn there, under that yarn, and pick up the top and the middle yarn, like that. I'm going to yarn over again. You see how naturally just moving the hook off to the side, it grabs it. So grab it, bring it through, push it up. Turn my hook up so I can grab the next bit, because this is the bit where you've got your 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to go through 2, and then you're going to go through 2. So yarn over, pull through 2, push your yarn all the way, push your work all the way through your hook, and then yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to yarn over straight away because we're going to find where we're going. So this is the stitch I've just done, and I'm not going into this hole here. I want this space here, but I want to go under that middle yarn so that I have 2 parts of the yarn on top of the hook like that. Yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook. Remember, you got the loop that becomes the top of your stitch. This is your finishing, so this is nothing until you finish your stitch. Then you have your middle. This is your first yarn over. This one gives you the structure to your stitch, and then this yarn over that you've pulled through your chain anchors it to the chain. And you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through 2, twist your hook back up, twist your hook, grab the yarn for yarn over, twist it so it's facing down, and pull through the last 2. Push it all the way down. Yarn over, get ready for your next stitch, and we're going to go straight into this one. Remember, I want that middle yarn and the top yarn together. Yarn over, pull through, push it down, 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, push my hook through. Yarn over, pull through 2, push my hook through. Okay, and that is how we do our stitches. I'm going to show you again how to do it. So yarning over straight away before I try and find where I'm going. Follow my stitch down. I do not want this hole where this stitch comes out of. I want this one here. See this one here? That's what I want. But I want to make sure I get the middle and the top yarn on the top side of my hook. Yarn over, pull through. That anchors it to the chain. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, get ready for your next one. I'm going to follow that stitch down. I don't want the hole it just came from. I want the next one. but I want to make sure that I get that middle yarn too, and the top one. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, get ready for your next stitch. So I'm going to follow this one down. I don't want this hole, I want this one, but I want to make sure I get that middle yarn and the top yarn together. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And get yarn over ready for my next place. Let's find where we're going. I'm going to follow this stitch down. I don't want this hole, I want the next one. I want to make sure I get that middle yarn and the top yarn of the V on my hook, at the top of my hook. Yarn over, pull through, anchor it to the chain, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is how we do it. So yarn over, get ready for your next stitch. I'm going straight into here. I now don't need to really, my yarn's splitting, there we go. Sometimes it just needs a little bit more coaxing. I don't need to always go down my stitch to find where I'm going. I can kind of see where I'm going now. Yarn over, get ready. I know I want this one here. Push it through. I've got those 2 loops, perfect. Yarn over, attach it to the chain. Yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2. Yarn over, get ready for my next stitch. Straight into there, yarn over, pull through, anchor it to the chain, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And just keep going until you get to the end. Lost my yarn on my finger. Right, pull through, anchor it to the chain, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And just keep going for as long as your chain requires. Pull through. This first row when you're working into a chain is always the worst to do. It doesn't matter how long you've been crocheting, doesn't matter how long you've been doing anything, the first row is always the worst. But I'm almost at the end now, so I've got 2 chains left, and I want to show you that you can kind of miss this last chain. It's the first chain you did when you started. It can be smaller than the rest. And once you've worked into this one, because there's no slack on the other side, you've just got this slip knot, it can be a little tight. So let's yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull through and anchor it to the chain, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, get ready for that last chain. So it's just here. So yarn over, make sure you get those 2 on the top, yarn over, pull through to anchor it down, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is the first row. As you can see with this yarn, it's very textured with the stitch. You can see all the stitch bumps, and you can see the V's of the stitches that you've made along your row. So how to get the next row? The next row, we're going to chain 2, because we chained 2 down here. We did our chain of 15, and then we decided that we wanted to chain 2 to get our height for our stitch, and we're not counting it as a stitch. So we chain 2. Now in crochet we work right to left if you're right-handed, and if you're left-handed you work left to right. Most people work right to left. So you need to flip your work over, you need to turn your work. So in a pattern, you'll be told to turn your work, and you literally just turn it like that. So this is the back side, the wrong side of your work. And you're going to yarn over, so you get ready, hold it, pardon me. This is the wrong side, the back side of your work. You're going to, one second, let me get ready. You're going to yarn over and hold it with your index finger as you've been doing. For this one, we're just going to go down our chain and into that first stitch just there. You can see I've just put my hook in it and it's expanded. So into that first one there, and you will see that you will have the top of that stitch on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull it through. That anchors the stitch at the bottom of the stitch to the top of the previous stitch. Yarn over, and you're going to pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Now, all the rest of the rows from now on, depending on what you're doing, is easy. You know where you're going. You're going into the top of the stitch. Now, where is the top of the stitch? Here is the second stitch. You can see it's being anchored into a chain. This is the bulk of the stitch here. And then you have, let's see if I can get my green hook to show you. So you have, these are parts of the loops that you've worked through. So this loop, we're not using this loop today, this one down here. We're using this top one. And we're using the one that is next to it when you do a bird's eye view of your work, like this. So we're going straight through, and we are going to have these 2 loops on your hook, like that. So yarn over, get ready, hold it with your index finger. And I know I've just been in there because it's quite big. I'm going in the next one, which is this one. Yarn over, pull through, anchor it to the top of the previous stitch. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. When I say previous stitch, I mean previous row. So we're working into the top of the row we've just done. So we'll work it, so we're going to yarn over, hold it with our index finger. You're going to come down the stitch you've just done. You're not working in that hole this time. You're working into the next one. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now some people I have seen make the mistake that they pull their work apart and they think they're working between stitches. That's not an average double crochet or treble crochet. That would be a different type of stitch pattern, if you like. So yarn over, we're going to follow this work down. We know we don't want this one, we want the next one, and we want the top of it, so we're going to work into there. We've got two strands of our V there. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, twisting your hook always, twist it down to come through 2, yarn over, twist it down to come through 2. And again, straight away I go straight into the yarn over on my hook. There's no point in not having that, trying to find where you're going and then have to yarn over, and then you're wondering where you're going again. So if you prepare yourself with the yarn over for the next stitch and then find where you're going, it's a lot easier. It's almost like you have a rhythm to the crochet. Okay, so keep going. Yarn over, get it ready, know where you're going. Yarn over, anchor it to the stitch below. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So a lot of twisting the hook, a lot of moving your hands. So I'll talk through, 1 second, let me get a bit more yarn. I'll talk through how I move my left hand now. Now we have the stitch. Let's talk about what I do with my left hand. So my left hand, I am holding just beside where I'm going next. I've been crocheting so long I can just feel it. I can just glance at it and see it. So you come down here, we've just worked in this hole. We don't want that one, we want the next one. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go straight into there. I'm going to pull this through. Now I'm going to let go. And I kind of let go so that I hold that anchor bit. Pull through 2, pull through 2, let go, slide my hand down, yarn over, insert, pull through, let go, and then kind of hold it where it's anchored. Pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, insert my hook, moving my left hand constantly, almost as much as I'm twisting my hook. It just stabilizes what I'm working on. If I didn't, it would become, let's have a look, it'd become a bit too loose. Can you see how that's a bit too big compared to the rest? There's no real, it's just slightly bigger and a bit untidy. So insert my hook. 1 second. Yeah. Insert my hook, yarn over, hold it just where you've anchored it down, yarn over, pull through 2 to finish. So this part is going to be a little tricky. Where do we go next? Because we have this bump and we have the last stitch I've just done, and we need one more because we have, let's count them. We don't count this part here, we're counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we definitely need one more stitch. We've just been in here and we're going to follow this over and we're going to go in here. And that is going to be our last stitch of the row. Yarn over, insert your hook into there, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm just going to go straight into my chain 2, like that, to get my height for my next row, for our third row. And we're literally just going to flip our work over and turn it over. And we'll just start again with our row. And this is crochet. So you start with your chain, you work into your chain, and then you work into your stitches, and you just keep going until you have made what you want to make. And you can make anything, and that is double crochet or treble crochet if you prefer English terms. So that is crochet. You start off with a chain, you work into your chain, then you work into your rows for as long as you need to for the project you're making, and you just keep going. So this is the double crochet or the treble crochet. I will have a little infographic at the end of the video that you are more than welcome to take a screenshot of, that has the different terms and what they are corresponding to. So it says double crochet, US terms is treble crochet, UK terms, and that's how you do it. So this is the double crochet stitch, and it's just one double crochet in a stitch, and that's how you do it.